this Ashes, 2025 Ashes, eagerly awaited. How do you see it?
Spoke to a few journalists this morning, Australian time actually, and it's
Right,
funny. So just to give you a bit of a heads up, or to bring you into the Australian space, they're thinking a 5-0 whitewash,
of course they are.
and it's funny because when you think about when England come over to Australia, look, they haven't won a test there in 14 years, I think it is, on
Yeah.
Australian soil.
Mhm.
This year's going to be different. And what I said to the Australian journalists, I said it's hard as a broadcaster journalist sometimes where you go, Australia, they've got a great side, they know how to play on Australian soil. Yes, all that's true, but this is a different England side now. And I've been super impressed with the likes of Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope, Joe Root, Harry Brook. I mean, Joe Root just goes from strength to strength. Obviously when Stokes is back fully fit. He'll obviously take back that captaincy role as what he has done and done such a great job. The whole Bazball thing, I don't read into it too much because people are saying, well, what is Bazball? And the way that I understand, and I've played with Brendan McCullum, but the way I understand Bazball, it's pretty simple. It is allowing yourself as an athlete to express yourself as clearly and with that pure emotion as possible. In other words, go out there and play with complete freedom. But there's also got to be a time when you five for 100, and then you got to work. Do you keep going flat out, or do you pull the reins back a little bit? I think that's where England have matured a lot with this whole baseball. I think they do know now when to pull the reins in sometimes, but it all comes down to the first test, the 21st of November over in Perth. If England can get off to a good start, I actually see it being a lot closer than what people think. So I still I still think if I was to pick 3-2 to Australia, but I reckon England, are going to give it a real big shake up. But Mark Wood, if England want to win the series, Mark Wood has to play. If Mark Wood is fully fit, bowling rockets. If Chris Wokes is back from his shoulder injury, obviously Jofra Archer hasn't played in 4 years, and need to make sure. And I love what I've seen with the way he's been nurtured in that last Test series. That those three guys can definitely do some massive damage over there.
I mean, you talk very compellingly on air about the art of fast bowling, the science of fast bowling. I love listening to you talking about, you did a great piece on Fox last year about Bumrah and his action, and examining that in great detail. How about that part of your life? Obviously, commentary is sort of coaching in a way, but do you have any kind of direct involvement in the coaching world in academies as well?
I'd probably say watch this space without giving too much away. So the answer is yes. I'm looking forward to something bigger that will be coming out shortly. I can't give too much away at the moment, or nothing away at the moment, but I've always enjoyed coaching. I've always enjoyed putting back in, and I think that you'd be crazy. And obviously, what you've learned through your career as well, you've passed on your knowledge. I pass on my knowledge. I learned from the greats, from DK Lee to McGrath. Plays, Tomo as well when he bowled 160 Ks per hour. So, you learn from the greats, but it's such a special feeling to put back in and to pass on to the young kids coming through. And I've always had this vision, I've always had this dream to try to find a bowl that can bowl past 161 Ks per hour. And if we think about what's happened recently in the last, we'll say recently, the last 20 years, if you look on a graph and you look at batters and the power hitting and the stroke play. The last 20 years, it's done that. So if you think about a graphic, it's going north pretty quickly. Bowler speeds the last 20 years, give or take one or two bowlers, the speeds have actually gone down. And you could put a lot of reasons behind it. I've got my theories behind it.
Hmm.
I want to try and change that curve. I want that curve to look like more of a hockey stick. And I think with technology these days, with the amount of opportunity, whether it's through computers, through AI, all the stuff that we know has
That's
helped
all.
back. Why hasn't fast bowlers been able to bowl quicker? So that's definitely my vision. And yeah, time in the next sort of 6 to 12 months, I'll be doing something about it.
So you don't think that fast bowling has reached a ceiling because, uh, certain sort of disciplines in athletics have kind of plateaued. I mean, obviously, Usain Bolt is the kind of standout,
Yep.
But in other disciplines, and sort of things like javelin and shot put and stuff like that, which are sort of similar to bowling, there's a plateau there. And
Yep.
I like talking to Alistair Cook about this, who says, fast bowling is faster than ever now, but he doesn't see how it could get any quicker. I mean, Mark Wood actually has proved, hasn't he, recently, that you can. I mean, he's bowled the fastest over I think that England have ever had managed to achieve,
Yep.
sort of every average speed of 93. So, do you think there
He's on my
are?
exception.
He's what? Sorry.
He's on the list as my exception. He's a guy, and I want to talk more in detail about him later on about the Ashes. But I love watching Mark Wood. I love his action. I love his aggression.
Yeah.
He's a guy that gets bums on seats and wants people to go to the game. So other than him, other than the odd guy that can bowl at 150k, no one can do it consistently. Have they reached the ceiling? Maybe that is the truth. But I think 20 years ago, me and Shoaib Akhtar doing it. Tomo did it in 1976.
Yeah.
Someone has to go past 161, surely.
Hmm. Well, I hope so, because it'd be great for the game, and you sort of feel like you're trying to redress the balance that's kind of
Mm.
got out of kilter between bat and ball. Although I suppose in Test cricket, the balance is still okay, but one day cricket it's gone completely out of scope, really. Um, uh, speed wise, like, so you bowled a 100-mile-an-hour delivery. I think that was in New Zealand, wasn't it? Was it against Craig
I,
McMillan?
put the poor Kiwis.
Yeah, but one thing I always felt about bowling was that, and I had this, experience where I tried to bowl fast, and almost the harder I tried, the worse it got. And you found a rhythm that on a particular day. I mean, Jofra Archer found it yesterday. On a
Yep.
particular day, just everything clicks, and it's not about effort and strength. It's almost about timing. I mean, do you concur with that? When you bowled your 100-mile-an-hour delivery, were you trying to bowl 100 miles an hour, or were you just bowling?
Um, a little bit of both, but you are spot on about timing. And there are days where I used to run in and try and muscle the ball down, and you look up at the speed gun and you see 140 Ks, and to me that's slow. I think, gosh, what's going on? That pace is down. You try harder and you try to muscle the ball, and then you go back to what my training tells. And I've always said, if I want to make an exceptional fast bowler, the first thing I would do is I'd take the cricket ball out of his or her hand. And people say, well, how's that going to work to make a fast bowler? I'd work on their sprint training. So you've got to be a good sprinter to be a fast bowler. And if you look at the stats over the years, the last 20, 30 years, exactly, an athlete that runs has got the, that high energy, the fast twitch fibers. You're naturally born with it. And there,
Yeah.
there are people who want to bowl quick, but will never get over 130 Ks. Doesn't matter how big they are, how strong they are. So it's timing. And I always find that it's the load up, it's the propelling your body through the crease like a fulcrum. You've got to get over that front foot. You've got to use your muscles,
Mm.
the muscles you're born with, what you've trained with, and not carrying too much bulk. So I think
Mm.
the issue these and Mark Wood, once again, Mark Wood, Dale Steyn, if you look at those two guys and me when I was playing,
Mm.
very slim frame,
Mm.
but very strong through the core, not too much muscle around the chest, not, didn't have the big biceps that you need for the beach. It all looks good for the beach, but doesn't help you bowl quick. So it's about lean muscle mass to try to propel that missile down that wicket as quickly as possible. So timing, run up, the way you stamp your front foot down, bowling with a dead straight leg, propelling yourself. I mean, I could talk for this about hours, but
I mean, it's fascinating, actually. I mean, it really is a great scientific study, actually. I wish you a lot of luck with that because it's something that, where you don't find that many. I listen to commentary all the time, and not many people understand bowling, do they? I mean, a lot of batters sort of talk in rambling terms about it, and they don't really get it because they've never actually had to try and do it. So
that's
it's a brilliant thing that you're trying to do. When you bowled your 100-mile-an-hour delivery, I mean, was it up? Did it go up on the board? Did it go
stupidly,
up on?
yes. Yeah, so I think the first ball I bowled was about 140 Ks. I went, that felt pretty good. Next one came out about 150. That felt pretty good. Next one, 155. And there's a moment in your life where you go, this is it. I'm doing this quite easily. Like I'm running in, the approach was good. There was a slight breeze over my right shoulder, which helps my outswing a bit. Just gets that rhythm. You're not fighting against yourself. You're not going into a headwind. You talk about conditions were perfect. My front foot landing, my spikes were sticking in the crease beautifully. I could propel through. A little bit of carrying the wicket, which always helps the ego and helps the ball come through because you see it going through the gilly like that. You go, all right, next ball was 157, 159. And I was like, got to go for it here. But then I was also trying to teach myself and talk myself out of don't lose your action. I had these little cues at the top of my mark. And I would literally, it's funny that when I coach kids or when I talk to guys in their mid 20s about bowling and about momentum and about rhythm, I always talk about the power of visualization. And what I used to do, I'd hold the ball, top my mark, and I'd blink for like a split second. And it's almost like I'd propel myself into the commentary box, or the broadcast box, and I'd see in like what I thought was a 4K camera, the camera behind me as I'm running into bowl, and I could see my arms pumping. I knew what I was going to do. I could see the load up. I could see the front arm go up, snap down, the snap of the wrist. Hopefully, a Sachin or a Jar Callis goes forward, nicks it, and Gilly takes a specky to his right. That was what I was visualizing every single ball. And then there's other times where I could see my head falling away. As soon as my eyes went down there, I fall away, I push the ball, hyperextension, counter rotation, twisting and turning comes into play. Not good for your back, not good for your speed. So yeah, the cue was stand tall. But I knew that day, that moment, if I stand tall, stay relaxed, and have a crack at it, might hit that 160.
161. It is getting faster. Can you believe it? Now the world record is 161.8.
And you did, and wow, it was amazing. And one other thing about your bowling, I seem to remember seeing you in training running with a parachute on your back.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd still advocate?
Yep. And once again, going back to being that sprinter, I was lucky. My mum was a sprinter. Mum did 100-meter sprints. Myself, my brother Shane, we did, and my younger brother Grant, who was also a very gifted cricketer. I was actually the least talented in the family, believe it or not. Shane was way better. Grant played New South Wales 17s, 19s, gifted all rounder. But we had the ability to run fast, and that was something I worked on. But I actually stumbled across my training, which helped me. I chased the ball over a hill and got my legs into overspeed without even realizing and knowing. I thought, wow, I've got into this speed that I'd never been in my life. So then I started training downhill. I started training with a parachute behind me, did soft sand running, and those things really helped my strength and conditioning. But that was all thanks to a guy called Jock Campbell, who was our fitness coordinator, a brilliant guy, and he took me from bowling at 150 at a decent clip, almost 100% up to that 160 barrier.
Hmm. Wow, amazing. Um, you've obviously got loads of different things that you can impart to your proposed idea to get, bowlers bowling quicker. You realize that today, do you know what today is, by the way? 8th of September. Do you know what today is 20 years ago?
Tell me.
Well, it was the day that you were in the field at the Oval, 2005.
Yeah.
It was the test match, of course, in which you should have had Kevin Peterson out a number of times, but luck was with him on the day. This particular day, Andrew Stroud got 100 actually in
Yeah.
2005. I mean, it's very uppermost in my mind at the moment because I've just made a six-part video series about the 2005 Ashes talking to a lot of people. Didn't talk to you actually, but I got Glenn on it and Justin and Langer and all sorts of people. Some really good people. But Simon Jones actually we had on it, and I'm sure you would have identified as a sort of kindred spirit, really.
Yeah.
Fantastic bowler, wasn't he? I mean, brilliant
And
and
and and a fantastic bloke to go
a
with it.
fantastic bloke.
That
Yeah, absolutely.
that
Yeah,
that still is Husey, in my opinion, the best Ashes series ever, ever.
yeah. Mm. And what do you remember of it? What do you pick up? I mean, firstly, and I know you've been asked this 1,000 times, but what did Freddie actually say to you at Edgbaston at the end of that match?
Um, Look, it happened so quickly. He put his arm around me, and it's just like a big panda bear hand coming. I mean, I've got massive hands, but Freddie's hand was like a big meat cleaver coming out of the shoulder. Something along you cheeky little bugger. I'll keep it clean, obviously, for the podcast, but
No, you don't have to.
yeah, he sort of he said a couple of choice words, and I had a bit of a laugh, but it was all done very, very much. You almost got us, but bad luck. I've seen so for a cold beer. And I had a broken hand from where Harmison got me in the first test. I was black and blue on my elbow, my ribs where Freddie had ripped into me, Harmison ripped into me. And what the general public don't see, and this is what I love about sport, and you've been there, you've seen it. After the game, the day's finished, the game's done and dusted, win, lose or draw. We're in the change room. And here's me and Freddie, arm in arm again. We're arm in arm out there 5 minutes before it. They celebrated. He came over to me straight away. We get back inside, and here we are having a cold beer like this. And he kept poking me in my ribs where he's pinned me a few times. Like, piss off, mate. But that's they are great memories, and I'll cherish those memories. I don't miss playing cricket, honestly. I don't miss the pain. I look now at I was at Lord's, recently watching England versus India, and just seeing that beautiful athlete, Jofra Archer. I mean, he's a beautiful natural athlete. He could run hundreds, 200 meters. You see him purely as a sprinter, and just the way he bowls the ball. But I'm thinking those long spells he was bowling. Thank God I'm not playing Test cricket anymore. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I ran in and bowled those speeds for so long, for 20 years. But I miss the change rooms. I miss the cold beer, the chat after the game, catching up with your mates from all around the world.
And of course, there was, change rooms was a big thing in that third test at Old Trafford, where you you survived. You played out the last couple of balls, got a draw, and there was a big focus. I mean, Varney makes a big thing out of the Aussies celebrating a draw, but in a way, you could sort of understand it because you batted all day. Your last pair, you and Pigeon had sort of, stuck it out and played out the last over or two. So, I mean, it was actually, although Varney used it as sort of motivation, we saw it as actually justification because it was actually a fantastic achievement to pull a draw out of that game.
Well, exactly. And the fact that we lost by 2 runs the game prior to that, and I was out there batting with Pidgey, I said, they're just going to try and knock you off stump out of the ground, try and blow the front pad off, get out of your crease. And I could see Ricky Ponting going, bat out of your crease, don't get out LBW. If you get hit on the pad, get forward, you get past the 3 meter mark, whatever it is. But I don't know if you know the story. So Pidgey batted out of his crease.
I know what you're going to say here.
Braz lunged forward.
Yeah.
I think
Hoggard at short leg. Hoggard was at short leg.
All Hoggy had to do was throw the ball in. He's out.
Exactly.
But and I'm going, get in your crease, get back in your crease. He's like, oh, I actually forgot about that. Yes.
Brilliant. But then anyway, you're sort of moving on to the fourth test just quickly. I mean, recapping that great series. I suppose you got your own back on Freddie a bit. Because you knocked him over in that last day at Trent Bridge, and you bowled a fantastic delivery and knocked him over off stump. And I just remember your celebration.
Stupid celebration. Stupid. I mean,
it was like it was. It was.
You're actually in the moment. I saw Freddie go like this when he did it. He's doing that when he took a wicket, and I thought, I just did it. I just went like that. And I don't know. I've never done it in my life. I've never done it since. It was just that.
Well, you had the famous chainsaw pulley thing, didn't you?
The chainsaw, and started as a knockout punch. And someone said, "Well, what are you knocking out?" And I said, "I don't know," because they said, "Well, you're knocking out gnomes, are you? They're like this big." So then it became the chainsaw. Then became the tuk-tuk starter over in India.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so you got your own back there, although obviously England won the match in the end. That was a tight game, clearly. Get the Oval, and the Oval test was this week. It started today, 8th of September, finished on the 12th. You were sort of threatening to even win that match until Freddie's amazing spell. And then, talk us through the Kevin Peterson innings there, and your a number of times you rattled him on the body, and the ball flew over the slips, and there was that drop catch at first slip Shane Warne. I mean, what was that like actually? That experience?
It was actually very enjoyable seeing some young punk come in with the blue hair, had this massive ego, and I love that about cricket. I don't care what someone comes and does on the field. If they're up for the challenge, as a fast bowler, there's nothing more exciting than running in and bowling what you think is a perfect bumper, and a batsman going crack and hitting you 30 rows back. At the time, I hate it because you get hit for six or for four, but you're actually in that contest. So there might be millions of people watching on TV around the world, which there was. There was thousands at the game watching. But for that split second, it's me versus Kevin Peterson. And I remember I bowled him a bumper and he came up like that and just missed his glove. And I'm looking at him and he wasn't shying away. Like a lot of batsmen, they'll turn away. They won't look at you when you're in that zone. You're bowling quick. And he looked at me where he blew me a kiss. I'm like, this guy's different. This guy is absolutely does not care. He's up for the challenge. And I bumped him once and he got a top edge about, 10 rows back. And then I bumped him again and he hit me about 40 rows back.
He has played some fantastic cricket today.
I spoke to KP the other night, actually, and we keep in contact. But once again, it is cricket. Anyone that knows me on the cricket field, do not get in my way. Look out. I'll try and be that aggressor. I'll try and be the enforcer. Off the field, you're just going to be a normal guy. And I've got mates all over the world now, and that's what I love about sport.
Mm. And why are you called Binger, by the way? Explain to us non-Aussies, what does that stem from?
Well, especially when I went over to England, everyone thought it was the Bing off the wicket. But no, it's actually there's no great story to it. There's a chain of electrical stores back in New South Wales. And it's a Chinese Australian family called Bing Lee. And I still see the Bing Lee sign, established 1957. I still know it off by heart. And so from the age of about 12 or 13, everyone at school called me Bing or Binger after Bing Lee. And I know the son now that's taken over from, the grandson rather, that's taken over from his late grandfather that started Bing Lee, and we're actually mates, play a bit of golf together. But I thought this went in every single state, but it wasn't. It's purely in New South Wales. No one else in Queensland or Tassie have ever heard about it. So yeah, it's quite weird.
And just finally on the Ashes, I mean, Pat Cummins, obviously he has this suspected or sort of early stages of a possible injury, stress fracture, but it's not a stress fracture. I don't know. Have you seen him? How do you diagnose his situation? Because if Australia journalists think they're going to win 5-0, I can't see them doing it if Pat Cummins doesn't play a full part.
Well, the surprising thing I could say about Pat Cummins is that most bowlers, I had two major back injuries when I broke my back when I was 17 and again at the age of 24. But what happens from the age of about 20 up to 30, you harden your body so hard and you get used to bowling in those conditions. Normally after 30, it's a soft muscle tear. It's a calf. It's a strain on the side. It might be a quad. It's not normally a back. So that concerns me a little bit. The other thing too, if it was a precautionary scan, if you scan every fast bowler in the world, it's going to light up like a Christmas tree there back. So here's a news flash. If you bowl fast and you scan your back, you will have hot spots and you might feel 100%. So you can read into science as much as you want. You have to understand as a bowler, I've played through pain my whole life.
Every day something hurts.
You have to understand though what is good pain and what's bad pain. Now, obviously, with Pat Cummins, he was feeling what we call the sort of bad pain, which could lead to a broken back or a past defect. So Pat Cummins has to play the Ashes, and if he's not ready for the first game on the 21st of November in Perth, if he's not 100%, don't play him. Don't risk him. He has to play. If Australia want to win this, Pat Cummins definitely holds the key. But if they rush him back too early and he's not quite ready and he blows it out in the first innings, then they'll miss the second innings of that first test and he's gone for the whole summer. So my advice would be make sure you are absolutely 100% raring to go. If that's the second test or third test, so be it. But just
Is
make
it?
sure.
I mean, that's good advice, but is it quite hard to know? Because until you get into the heat of a battle of an Ashes Test match,
Hmm.
maybe you can't really tell whether you're 100% or not.
No, look, it's almost how you sort of wake up the next morning. If you wake up feeling like there's a knife going in your lower back and you can't get out of bed and you can't walk, and we've all been there, and that was, I built a bloody career on getting out of bed and just literally stumbling my way down to the breakfast room, load up on the carbs, and then go have a swim, and then look down and you see the coat of arms in your chest. You're right. I'm raring to go again. You just got to take that pain and throw it away. You just got to switch it off in your brain.
Mm.
But there's difference. I keep saying if it's an injury pain that's going to cause a long-term issue, then you have to look at it and go and listen to what they're saying, I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, I suppose you do know your body better as a
Mm.
bowler, don't you, in your sort of late 20s, early 30s, and you know what to manage. But it does sound like it's a bit of a concern, actually.
It is,
Yeah,
it is a concern because he's our number one strike bowler. He's our leader.
he's
He's the captain.
fantastic. Yeah.
He's such a great guy too. So I can promise you he's such a competitor. He'll be doing whatever he possibly can to ensure he's raring to go that first test.
One more thing. I toured with Sydney University
Yep.
into the hinterland of New South Wales, probably from where are you from? I went to Young and Yass and places like that.
Yeah,
Where are you?
I'm down two and a half hours out of Sydney, so not that far down.
Okay,
Bit country, but not quite sort
more
of
due west.
doing
Um,
wearing a straw hat.
because my first experience of playing cricket in Australia, well, second actually, I played for Fremantle one season, and then I
Yep.
came over to Sydney, and we did a country tour early season, sort of warm up. I thought it'd be a nice, relaxed environment. I went into batter number 7 in Young, nice ground, lovely, friendly people. There's a red-faced bloke who's about to bowl, called he was known as Blood Clot, little medium pace, a red face, and there was a bearded guy, keeping wicket, inevitably red bearded guy called Bushfire. And I thought he'd say to me, good luck, mate. Good to see you out here. Sorry about the flies. And he just whispered in my ear, stood up to the stumps as I was about to face my first ball. He just whispered in my ear, mate, you're as welcome out here as a fucking turd in a swimming pool. And of
Very good.
course, third ball I got
Welcome
out.
to Australia.
So go on, match that. What was the worst thing that was ever said to you?
Welcome to Australia. Well, mate, the Barmy Army flogged me. They flogged me for 12 years. They did so, but I actually did appreciate the Barmy Army in 2001. Hated it. Hated it. Didn't engage. Didn't like their sledges. 2005 embraced it. 2006 back in Australia had some fun with them. So, and I remember that little tiny guy that sort of runs it, small guy. Well, he was hopping into me down at Bay 13 once, and I sort of yeah, it was that day 3, and I've copped abuse for 3 full days, and they're just nailing me the whole time. So I've walked up and I said, "Oh, hey mate, the bloke there, can he stand up? Oh, sorry, he's standing up. Can someone get this guy a booster seat?" Well, Army turned on him. They're all sledging his best mate. So it was fun.
Were you a sledger?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the Merv Hughes sort of arsewipe type sledge. It was something a bit better than that, was it?
no, we'll see. Sledgers trying to put the batsman off their game. And I knew the rules. You sort of, you actually know the rules when you're in kindergarten. You don't racially vilify someone, and you don't want to swear too much because the kids are watching. You learn that very quickly. But everything else is just game on. I worked out very, very quickly that wearing a white sweatband came in handy because I love marketing. I used to understand they had all the sponsors around the boards. They had the stump cam, the stump mic. They had the 32 cameras watching. So what I worked out that I could go in and just absolutely spray a batsman as I'm wiping my nose on my white sweatband. They can hear something. They can't see my lips, and you give the batsman a spray, and you just get away with it.
Very good. And that's why David Boone had a walrus moustache in it as well, because he was stood at short leg going, yeah, fucking hell. Yeah. Great. Anyway, listen, lovely to talk to you, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
What I can say is I've done a fair few of these podcasts, and not just because you gentlemen are here, but this has been my most favorite. So thanks, everyone.